Welcome to the deep dive, where we extract the absolute most fascinating knowledge from the sources you share with us.
Glad to be here.
Today, we are taking a massive leap, really diving deep into the world of Sarah J. Maas.
Specifically, House of Sky and Breath.
Exactly, the second book in the Crescent City series.
And honestly, the stakes just ratchet up like crazy here. Our mission today is pretty clear. We're going to navigate that political paranoia gripping this city.
Yeah, it's thick.
And look at the complex bond between Bryce and Hunt, how it deepens, and then how Maas takes this, fairly grounded urban fantasy
Right.
and just rockets it onto this truly epic, almost cosmic stage. It's quite the move.
It really is. I mean, this book, it feels like one of the most dynamic modern fantasy epics out there right now.
I agree.
It's got that urban grit, high-stakes romance, and some genuinely shrewd political stuff going on.
Definitely.
And for anyone who read House of Earth and Blood, you'll remember how it ended. Bryce's heritage reveal. Huge.
Oh, massive.
She's not just the party girl anymore. She's powerful. She's a target. And that victory, it wasn't an ending. More like a starting gun, a really loud one.
Precisely. That ending basically left Bryce and Hunt Athalar, the fallen angel, standing on really dangerous new ground.
Yeah.
Bryce has already dealt with devastating loss, and now she's got this immense weight of expectation on her shoulders. About her power, sure, but also what she, owes the world now.
And Hunt, he's defined by that incredible strength, that resilience from his past as a slave soldier. But what makes him so compelling is that surprising tenderness underneath, that real desire for just a quiet life with Bryce.
Which the world just won't let them have. It makes that dream seem almost like a joke, doesn't it?
It really does. It's that clash, the political weight versus the personal hope that just keeps driving the tension. Maas doesn't give them a break.
Not for a second.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with Crescent City itself, because after that big battle in book 1, there's this surface quiet, but it's absolutely not at peace.
No way. It's gripped by fear, deep fear. Our sources are clear. The rulers, the Astria mortal, merciless, they're tightening their grip.
Suffocatingly efficient is a good way to put it.
Yeah, that calm is totally forced. Just a thin layer over some serious systemic oppression.
And you feel that paranoia. It's not just guards on the street corners. The city is swimming in surveillance.
Oh, completely.
We're talking harsh new laws, magical monitoring, spies everywhere, fae, angels, you name it all, making sure everyone stays in line.
Exactly. The air is thick with whispers of rebellion, but actually saying anything, that gets you vanished. Or worse.
That theme of control is just paramount.
It is. The sources really emphasize that questioning the Astri isn't just, go to jail. People suffer these terrible public fates as examples.
Who creates this pressure cooker.
Totally. And that environment yanks Bryce right back from any dream of a normal life. She's caught in this awful bind. Keep her head down, which is impossible now, or risk everything to fight back.
And for you listening, this really matters. Bryce made high-stakes choices before, sure, but now they feel even heavier.
Much heavier.
Survival isn't just instinct anymore. It needs a strategy, discretion, real wisdom, and the courage to risk not just her life, but her secret, her power.
Everything. And that kind of high-stakes world inevitably impacts their relationship, right? You can't live quietly when the rulers see you both as political time bombs.
Right. Which brings us to Bryce and Hunt. Their bond, it really deepens in those stolen moments.
Yeah, the quiet ones.
Laughter, sharing a meal, those flashes of intense vulnerability. It's the heart of the story maybe, but it's constantly under threat.
Constantly tested. They try to make that simple, very human promise. Yeah, let's just stay out of trouble, live quietly.
Seems reasonable enough.
But the sources show us why, in their world, with the Astri watching their every move, seeing them as catalysts for chaos, that promise is just utterly unattainable.
It's impossible.
The political games just suck them back in, usually with no warning, and the consequences are always brutal.
And that's the core tension, isn't it? You've got Bryce's fierce independence, her need to act on her own terms.
Yeah, she's very much her own agent.
Versus Hunt's deep-seated instinct to protect her, which sometimes maybe feels a little repetitive, like he's holding her back. Does the sequel handle that better?
That's a really sharp point. And I think, the sources suggest Maas uses that tension pretty constructively here. Their growth in this book comes from figuring out that true partnership isn't just one protecting the other.
It's mutual.
Exactly. Shared responsibility, mutual protection.
Yeah.
They have to learn to operate as equals. Hunt's challenge isn't just physical protection. It's respecting her choices, her agency, even when those choices terrify him.
So it shifts their relationship. It's not just romance anymore. It's like a powerful political alliance, too.
Definitely. They challenge each other, push each other, and ultimately prove they're stronger together, not just emotionally, but strategically.
And they need that strategy because the story just explodes outwards, doesn't it? We move beyond their apartment into this huge web of alliances, betrayal.
Yeah, the rebellion against the Astri isn't just some background idea. It's active, it's dangerous, it's happening. And Bryce and Hunt, they can't stay on the sidelines, especially Bryce with her heritage.
She's central, whether she likes it or not.
Right. And the stakes just keep climbing. New characters show up, old ones get pulled back in.
And this is where it gets complex, right? Because everyone comes with their own secrets, their own motives, their own scars.
Absolutely critical point. It's not a simple good versus evil fight. It's this mosaic of fractured loyalties, hidden agendas.
And dangerous knowledge starts bubbling up.
Yes. Specifics about the Astri, where they came from, what they really want, knowledge that could genuinely shift the power balance.
But only if they dare use it.
Precisely. Which is a huge if.
And what's so well done, I think, is how that external fight, the politics, the searching for answers, is mirrored by these really deep internal struggles for both Bryce and Hunt.
Oh, absolutely. For Bryce, she's forced to really grapple with her power. It's not just magic. It's a legacy, a burden, a massive threat. She's confronting this destiny she tried so hard to run from in book 1.
She can't escape it.
No. Her identity is fundamentally altered.
And Hunt. Wow, his journey might be the most tragic, identity-wise. He has to face his past as this soldier forced into slavery, forced to fight, often on the wrong side without even knowing it.
Yeah, on the wrong side of freedom, as the source puts it. His struggle is so psychological. It's about who he is, the guilt he carries, and this desperate longing for a future that means tearing down everything he was forced to be under the Astri.
It's heavy stuff.
It is. But Maas weaves that personal pain right into the geopolitical plot. It means every explosion, every political move lands with real emotional weight. It's not just epic fantasy spectacle.
True. And speaking of epic, the world building here just expands massively. Crescent City stops being just this cool urban setting.
Right?
And becomes this major stage for tensions with like universal consequences.
This is where the scale just shifts dramatically. We get a much deeper dive into the Astray hierarchy. We realize they aren't just local bullies. They're part of a vast interdimensional structure. Wow. We meet new groups, see hints of other worlds, get crucial details about the bigger universe beyond Midgard. It's a huge, deliberate step up in scope.
It really elevates it, doesn't it? It makes you see the oppression in Crescent City not just as a local issue, but like a symptom of some cosmic level tyranny.
Exactly. And this leads to that fantastic aha moment. That layering of the personal and the epic becomes so clear. Every small, intimate choice.
Like Bryce deciding who she can really trust with her secret.
Or Hunt deciding when to finally risk everything and act.
Yeah.
Suddenly, those moments connect directly to the fate of whole nations.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Because those personal choices, they're not just affecting the city or even their world. The sources show they're tangled up in these cosmic struggles, way bigger than just Crescent City. That feels like the core of this book. The courage to make one small moral choice becomes the pivot for these huge ancient destinies.
Absolutely. It totally reframes the whole series arc.
Yeah.
You realize this isn't just about winning one battle. It's about potentially disrupting the entire system of the universe as they know it.
Okay, before we hit the finale, let's quickly touch on those core themes again because they pulse through everything. Freedom, right?
Definitely. The struggle to live free, choose your own path, resist oppression, no matter how powerful it seems.
And courage. So much courage.
Critically, yes. The courage to face loss that feels unbearable, to question authority that looks unshakable, to fight for justice when you feel totally alone.
And the courage to love, even when the world seems designed to rip it away from you.
Exactly. The sources really nailed that courage isn't about not being afraid. It's about acting despite the fear.
And this book just builds and builds towards its ending. Masterful pacing, really. It culminates in these revelations that don't just surprise you.
Oh, they do more than surprise.
They completely reframe everything you thought you knew about this universe.
Right. Without giving away the specific twists, because wow, they stunned readers, the final chapters pull back the curtain on truths connecting this series to a much, much larger tapestry.
Especially for longtime Maas fans, right? The sources make that connection explicit.
Yes. This is the moment that contained urban fantasy world suddenly cracks open and integrates into this vast, established universe from her other works.
And that integration just shakes the foundations. For the characters, obviously, but
Yeah.
also for the reader's understanding of the whole cosmic setup, the timeline, everything.
The ending is bold. That's the word used often.
Mm.
Bold, surprising, packed with implications. It sets up something enormous for the next book.
It takes a conflict from, local tyranny.
To something truly interdimensional. It forces you, the reader, to question everything you assumed about the lore, the gods, the power structures from book one. It's a brilliant structural move.
So what does this all mean? We've walked through this powerful story. Romance, politics, rebellion, destiny, all woven together.
A narrative that constantly pushes Bryce and Hunt past their limits. They aren't heroes because they chose to be, really. They're heroes out of necessity.
Sarah J. Maas delivers the sweeping tale of freedom, love, and just immense consequence. And she makes it clear this journey is far from over.
No, it's only getting more complex.
Yeah.
Demanding even greater sacrifices, greater courage from everyone involved. Exponentially so.
And as we close out this deep dive, the book leaves us chewing on this really provocative thought, doesn't it? This question that haunts Bryce and Hunt. How much of our life is actually set by destiny, by fate?
Or does real freedom only lie in the courage, the sheer guts, to make choices? To use your agency, no matter how terrifying the consequences might be.
Yeah. It forces you to ask yourself, if you knew the price, the full price, would you still be brave enough to pay it?
A question to sit with, for sure.